Hi everyone, welcome back to Trees and Turtles. My name's Imogen and in today's video I'm sharing my reflections on 2023. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do that, give this video a massive thumbs up, follow me on Instagram and we shall start. So the first thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about reflections on 2023, obviously I've made a review, reviewing my goals video, but I wanted to make one that was sort of broader and sort of encompassed me going off on a rant about what I thought of the year. So if that's not what you're here for, feel free to look away now. The first thing I also thought about is maybe I should make a goals matrix with numerical trackers for achievements and metrics for assessing the year. If that's something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments because I am a nerd for spreadsheets and I will 100% do that for you. So the things I wanted to think about were the first thing, what did I achieve this year? Okay, so if you want to know in detail, go check out my other video, but a lot of significant things happened this year, and the first one was I got a 2-1 in my second year, which I was really, really happy about because it was a tough year and I was on a tough course and I worked my actual socks off. I really, really worked. The other thing was I did a wonderful internship over the summer and I got my first ever fully remote job, so I saved a lot of money. Also, I got my finances together. I've done a video on that, so check that out. I'll link it if I remember. But yeah, all of these things, these were all massive wins for me this year, so that's a sort of a little selection of my achievements this year, but that's some a summary of what I'm really proud of. How did I feel this year? So honestly, 2023 has been a massive emotional roller coaster. I think for January through March, April, I was having a terrible time, genuinely. My mental health was terrible. I was going through a lot of personal stuff. There was some really sort of scary challenges in my life, and not the sort of good kind of scary, the sort of traumatizing kind of scary. So January to March I was really suffering, and I was in hospital for a while because stress, but fortunately I got some therapy, I got on meds, so that was actually a positive result to come out of that. But January to March was a really tough time for me, especially because I also suffer with seasonal depression, so that's not great either. But then sort of from April, May, it started to get into summer, and that obviously, it always makes me feel better, but at the same time I was quite stressed because I was I've got to secure an internship because my first choice internship ghosted me, unfortunately, and then they emailed me back and they were oh my gosh, we're sorry we forgot you, and I was okay. Well, fortunately I had a plan B, so I did the plan B internship, which actually turned out to be outstanding, loved it, and then what else? Yeah, so I was doing that over the summer, but for a couple of months I was unemployed, and that really took a toll on my mental health because I hate feeling useless. And I know that technically I was not useless because I'm literally in a holiday from full-time education, and I did need some time to recuperate, and also I was busy doing my internship, but I felt useless. I don't know, I feel if I don't have 5 things going on at once, then I'm slacking. And I know it's an anxiety thing, but anyway. So then end of July, I got my job and I was okay, now I can relax a little bit. So the sort of July, August, September, those were good months. I went to Italy again for the 3rd time in August, and that was absolutely wonderful, iconic holiday. So that was wonderful and it was great, and I also went to Scotland, so that was really fun as well. That's actually where I got this shirt, which is one of my favourite shirts, and so a lot of travel, and then I was sort of gearing up for 3rd year, and that's when the anxiety really kicked in again. So I went back to Durham and I was immediately sort of, you know, in the deep end, as it is at Russell Group University in your 3rd year, in 3rd year in general, to be honest, but I think I've actually managed the second half of this year pretty well, better than I managed the first half, if that makes sense, from an emotions point of view, because yeah, I don't know, I've just been better about taking my medication, better with self-care, and just overall I think more resilient. A lot of the experiences I had in the first half of the year really set me up for being resilient and confident in the second half of the year, even though they were really tough at the time and they really sucked. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of how I was feeling the whole year, but it's interesting to notice how the seasons sort of alter my mood, which I guess is predictable because you have seasonal depression, you're going to be sad in the winter. But also, other things did impact my mood as well. Okay, the thing I wanted to talk about next was, like, what's my worst failure this year and what can I learn from it? Because I always think it's really important to talk about your failures as well as your successes, and I love to keep it real on here with you guys because I don't want to be some kind of, like, unapproachable influencer who is perfect, because I am genuinely not, and I fail, and I want you all to know that. Because then, I don't know, I feel like when I'm making videos, I want you to know when you're watching that it's completely okay to fuck things up. Like, it's fine, you know? I think we can learn a lot from failure, and it's not something to be afraid of, even though if you're a perfectionist like I am and you have anxiety, you will probably be afraid of failure. Again, unfortunately, that is the norm for a lot of us. But I've been learning to learn from failure, if that makes sense. So the biggest failure I think this year is I didn't get like a full driving license. So this was like a big goal, and I tried it in summer and all of the stuff was booked out, like all of the instructors were booked out. And I didn't really it didn't really come together. So I think that's my biggest failure from this year. If I could like do it again, I would plan way ahead. Like I would try and plan like 8 months ahead, because yeah, I mean, even my level of planning was not enough. Like, one driving school was genuinely booked 8 months out, and I was like, I did not anticipate this, especially like a couple of years after the pandemic. There's still a backlog, so that took me by surprise. But also, on the flip side of that, I wanted to talk about my favourite or like biggest success this year, and I think, well, actually there was a lot, but like it's probably some. Well, there's 3 things I want to mention. The first one is I was really proud of my degree result for second year. Like, really, really proud, because I know I worked really hard for that. The second thing I want to talk about is getting a remote job, because slay. You know, I really liked sort of learning to work in a remote environment, and it was just really, really helpful from a sort of flexibility point of view, savings, etc., etc. The third thing I want to say is, like, shout out to my earlier self for developing the ability to set boundaries and say no, because that is something I've struggled with for years, because I'm a massive people pleaser and I avoid conflict like the plague. So saying no to people is really hard for me. Setting boundaries is really hard for me, but I really learned this year to stand up for myself, and I am immensely proud of that. Like, as much so as an academic achievement or a financial one. So those are like my favourite or biggest successes this year, I guess. I mean, if I had to pick one, it's probably the degree, because, you know, I kind of sweated and cried over that, so but like those 3 I'm proud of. What else? Yeah, let's talk a little bit about relationships. So kind of like moving on from the boundaries thing, like to sort of piggyback off of that, I learned really well to set boundaries in my sort of personal relationships this year. It did involve like the end of some connections, and obviously like that's hard at the time, but I also think it is immensely rewarding when you no longer have that negative energy in your life. So eventually I will make a video about it when I'm like ready to talk about it in more detail, but it was really like scary at the time, but also really freeing, and I do feel like at the time it was sort of a leap of faith, if that makes sense, but then, you know, in the end, it was definitely the right thing for me to do, and my mental health has really benefited. So I've been focusing on like quality over quantity in friendships and like personal relationships, and just sort of completely focusing. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is, if we are still friends at this point, like if you're watching your video and I'm still friends with you, then I probably really like you. Anyway, also, I want to talk a little bit about health and well-being. So, like, how well did I take care of my physical and mental health? I think I've taken care of my physical health actually quite a lot better this year. Like, I could do better on my exercise, and sometimes I could do better on healthy eating, but I've been like more hydrated, I've taken better care of my hair. I started doing hair masks like halfway through this year, and my hair was like low-key falling out at an alarming rate before I started doing that, and now it feels nice. And it is no longer falling out. I've become really consistent with my skincare. I've learned to do like more makeup. So all of that sort of self-care stuff has been really beneficial for me, and also just like mental self-care as well. So just like time by myself to chill, like mental space, downtime, all of that. Really prioritising that has just really helped me. So yeah, I think that's something positive that's happened this year. Okay, I've got a little prompt here that says financial review. So how well did I manage my finances this year? This is actually something that was a big focus of 2023 for me, and I actually made a video on it. So like learning to budget, learning to invest. There was a secret third thing that I've forgotten. Oh yeah, allocating into savings goals. I've made like a couple of financial videos, so again, seek those out on my channel. But yeah, no, I've really, like, my credit score has never been higher. My savings have never been higher. I've like developed my skills at work. So all of these things, and my financial knowledge has also been like sort of skyrocketing this year. So like focusing on that from January was a really, really good choice, and I am very happy with past me for doing it. So congratulations past me, I guess. I wanted to talk a little bit about future planning. I'm aware this is like a sort of a really long-winded rant about like everything and nothing, but sort of like 2024 goals. I've got a few big secret goals that I'm hoping will come off, and if they do, I will very proudly share them on this channel, but for now they are staying secret projects because it's a little bit like up in the air at the moment. But I've been reflecting a lot on how I can like build on the lessons learned from this year to make the next one like a lot better. And I think the biggest takeaway for me, oh well, one of the biggest takeaways, is that I just need to, like, firstly, I need to plan more in advance because driving lessons, you know. But secondly, I've actually benefited hugely from setting boundaries, and this is the most cliche thing ever to say, and everyone on the internet is like, blah, 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 set boundaries, but genuinely, setting boundaries and respecting my own time as much as I respect other people's has been a game changer for me. So I think those are the main lessons that I'm taking forward into the new year. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do that. Give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye!